Something interesting happened with me recently, and it almost felt like failure. Have you ever felt confident and sharp 1 minute, and then the next you completely fumbled and didn't know why? A few days ago, I had an experience that actually checked me on my own capacity, and it reminded me, why is it that I do this work? You know that saying that says, life will teach you to practice what you preach? Yeah, that. A few days ago, I was at a large mixer of a local chamber that I belong to. The room was large, the crowd was big. There was a lot of energy. Music playing, high energy, wall to wall people. Conversations buzzing everywhere, people laughing, people networking, and there I was. Now, I'm an ambivert, so social situations can either energize me or they can deplete me. This time, I felt all that energy and I felt very much energized. As I entered the room, I quickly spotted a friendly face. I jumped into a conversation with her, and as we talked, I began to move around the room. The conversations, they flowed easily. I told people about what I do, how I do it, and how much I enjoyed doing it. People showed appreciation that I clearly explained what I do, since it's something so scientifical and technical that just using regular um, professional words wouldn't, because neuroscience and occupational science buzzwords are not words that are usually used in the middle of corporate conversations. For about an hour and a half, I was having very engaging conversations. Conversations where I found out about what people did, and I got to share also what I do. I introduced my work, and we were having meaningful conversations. Then eventually, I found myself standing with a group of people having more of those meaningful conversations. But this time it was different. We were standing right directly across from the speakers. The speakers that had loud music. Sometimes there were people who came on to announce something, and we actually had to speak louder in order to understand what we were telling each other. But after 15 to 20 minutes of competing with that level of stimulation, something shifted. At that moment, I realized that I needed to move. It was becoming too much. As I walked and I was moving away from the area, someone approached me and started talking to me. So I had to stop and continued with the conversation. At some point, they asked me, "What is it that you do with your business?" I excitedly opened my mouth to give an answer, but then suddenly I just fumbled, totally and completely fumbled. I remember immediately thinking, Sandra, what's going on? You have explained this several times tonight, and it was beautiful, and people understood. What's going on with you right now? Suddenly, in this moment, I felt less articulate. I felt scattered. I felt less coherent, and I just couldn't land the message. And just like that, my confidence dropped. Not because I didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't because I wasn't capable. Not because I'd lost my wit, my intelligence. I had not lost my expertise, and neither was I inconsistent. I had not changed, but my capacity had. After an hour and a half of high energy socializing, after 20 minutes of compensating for loud music. After all that sustained engagement, I had simply spent my capacity. And instead of forcing myself to keep going, drawing credit from a credit line that probably I had not enough to repay, I decided to stop. I listened. It was time to leave. If I was going to do anything next, it needed to be quiet. And this, my friend, is what understanding what capacity looks like. Capacity is not motivation, it is not discipline, and it is not resilience. Once you understand your capacity, you stop mislabeling yourself as lazy, inconsistent, incompetent, or less capable. You will understand that you're not underperforming and neither are you failing. Instead, you will begin to ask yourself better questions. Questions like, what is my nervous system holding right now? How much output have I already given? What does sustainable performance actually requires of me? Capacity is not infinite. When we understand our capacity, we show up clearly, confidently, and sustainably. When it is ignored, we start misinterpret the signals and we start telling ourselves false stories. Stories like I must be inconsistent, I'm slipping, or something is wrong with me. When in reality, nothing is wrong. You're just human. This is exactly the work I do through Neuroforte. Through Neuroforte, I help individuals and organizations understand employees' energy patterns, to recognize cognitive and nervous system limits. I teach how to strengthen executive function sustainably, and we design together work systems that actually aligns together. Rhythms that work exactly the way how your brain functions. The goal here is not for you to do less. Your job has its requirements, and you will learn how to do it sustainably. The goal is for you to perform your job sustainably, but without abandoning who you really are. Not by pushing harder, but by sequencing your energy. Because sustainable performance isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters within your capacity and knowing when it's time to be quiet. To continue following my conversations on capacity and performance, subscribe to this channel. Also, you can visit my website, www.neuroforte.org, and book a free complimentary call. See you next time.